Morning, Jake.
Morning, bud. How are you?
Excellent. How are you today?
I'm very good, mate. Very good
It's
indeed.
me and you all alone, isn't it?
It is. It's just the two of us. Intimate.
It's just the two of us. I'm sure there's a song there anyway. We did obviously welcome everybody to this 2-hour art of in-person sales with me, Mark Cleghorn from the Photographer Academy, and Jay, he's on the other. If we're lucky, he'll share his webcam in a minute. We did decide today, when we heard late last night, Jay announced at the end of morning, bud. I see you anyway, don't I? We're just keeping the distancing. It's like one full floor between us. But we did decide to actually have a bit of fun day with T-shirts today, didn't we? Instead. So you brought explain it for all those nerds.
Oh,
non-nerds.
I'm an absolute Star Wars geek, but I was challenged to wear my brightest T-shirt, and most of my shirts are black or navy, so this was the brightest one I had. So sharing my love of Star Wars with all you geeks out there today.
Excellent. And I actually knew as soon as we decided that we were going to have T-shirts today instead of everything. So shorts is not new for me, is it? Basically, no. I'm always in shorts no matter what, except for the business presentations. Yesterday I was in business mode. Today we're in, let's just get on with life and things, really. So anyway, I knew what it was going to be. So I don't think you'll be able to see it from a distance.
No, you can't.
But this is my Beatles Help T-shirt. I just thought it was quite apt. I'm not sure if it's good taste or bad taste or whatever it is. But well, I thought,
we all need a bit of it now, don't we? And there are more words, mate. Yeah. So I think it's very.
Anyway, look, enough of this waffle. Let's crack.
Before we crack on, just the techie stuff, because we did forget to do it yesterday. So great to have you all with us. I'm literally in the chat panel, so we want you to interact with Mark and I today. So questions through the question panel, not the chat panel. Sorry. We've got plenty of question time slots. Those of you that are joining us from mobile devices or tablets using the GoToWebinar app, now you might be just seeing our webcam screens at the moment, or you might just be seeing me, you might just be seeing Mark, or you might be seeing the slides, Mark's slide screen. So from an app on a mobile device or a tablet, to see the different screens that we're referring to, you swipe left or right. From a desktop, you should be, I'll be turning mine off in a minute, but you'll be seeing Mark's webcam, so you can see what's going on in the sales room part of things, and then you'll be seeing his slides as well. But on a mobile device or an iPad or a tablet, then you may need to swipe left or right between the screens to see what's going on. And that's pretty much it from me. And questions through the question panel, please. Thanks, mate. It's all yours.
Brilliant. Thanks, bud. So first of all, obviously we've got to apologise. It's not in our control, but we should have been in the Flash Centre in London doing 2-day presentations of these in-person sales. We'd already kind of looked ahead, and we limited the size of the audiences, so we're only going to have 20 people in there, but obviously it's a good job we weren't there, because we've been locked down last night in London if we were still kind of running it, as it were. So again, apologise for all of those who actually registered to come to the free event in the Flash Centre in London, as well as the Flash Centre in Birmingham. We hope at some stage we'll be able to bring this live, because it's a lot different 2-hour session when we're interacting with each other with different scenarios and everything else. As Jay's already said, he's on the question panel, so don't be afraid to get in those questions. We're here for 2 hours, and we're going to be kind of giving you some of the knowledge, I hope, that when we come out the other side of this C-19 pandemic, that we're going to be able to make a difference. Look, we're going to try and support you guys as much as we can, both through the Photographer Academy and through the Xperience group and everything else. We're not doing any pitching at anything today at all right? So you can settle back and know that everything we're doing is about making sure we come out the other end better than we were at the beginning. So if you are going to be shut up for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever it would be, if business is not going to be back to normal very, very soon, I know many of us are going to hurt a lot. I promise you, it's the same throughout the UK, in fact, throughout the whole world. We've got members in Ireland, and they've been locked down for a couple of weeks already and things really, so they already know what it's going like. So what we're going to be talking about today is in-person sales, and as I said, we're going to try and support you as much as we can. We've been contacted by a lot of wedding photographers in the past weeks, and literally we've had photographers on in tears with us and everything else. They don't know what they're going to do. All their career is just wedding photography and so on. We are doing a special session very soon. We've got to set a date Basically, I've got some ideas for all the wedding photographers who basically had most of this year wiped out. Edith and I should have been out in Ibiza on a wedding in May, and that's all been cancelled already. And there's going to be many in the same boat. So I promise you, just watch out on the Photographer Academy Facebook page. If you subscribe to our newsletter list, then obviously you'll know what's going on pretty much each week. But we're going to be reacting very fast. And if you are going to be stuck at home, make use of the Photographer Academy and your membership if you have one. If you don't, all right, we're giving as many as we can for as long as we can. As long as we can afford to do it, we're giving the basic Photographer Academy free membership for a year, all right? So just get on there, and if you want to just mind numb or learn something, see what other people are doing, whatever it be, then go on to the Photographer Academy. I'm sure, I don't know what that code is. Jay knows what the code is. I'm sure he'll put it in the panel for you anyway. But if you do know other photographers out there who are basically in the same boat as us, at least let's get all on the same page and get involved with our Facebook page perhaps. But again, we're not here selling you anything today, so just chill, all right? And we're not going to be selling you anything on the Photographer Academy either. Let's get back to it. So section 1, we're going to be talking about the value chain, all right? The way that you add value to your business and make sure the customers value you. That's really what that's about first. Then before the break, we're going to talk about the PSPS and the PSF. For me, the post-session pre-selling is probably the most significant thing you can change for me within your business today, all right? So you've got lots of chance now to practice it between now and when you next do your in-person sales. So absolutely no excuse not to be absolutely bang on the money with this as soon as we come out the other side, as it were. And along the way, I think that section alone will help you with your selling with confidence. We're going to have a quick 5-10 minute break then, basically on the hour, and then we're going to look at setting up the viewing room. We've mocked up a viewing room in here. You can't see on this side, but there's another little wall and stuff as well. And then we're going to be talking about the layout, but we're also going to be talking about the sales room and how it all works. And basically you'll be able to actually kind of get a flow going and things really. Today is the only day we're recording this session. We'll try and get on the Photographer Academy as soon as we can. Basically all our team are furloughed now at home, so they're away, and it's just me and Jay actually holding up the fort and things really. So we're pretty much, we've got all our film content for the Academy members and our Xperience group, all our training in mind, and changes gone on. So we will be adapting, so a little bit of patience with us and things really. We'll let you know via our Facebook page as well if there are any issues with streaming on the site. Otherwise, there won't be any issues with it streaming on the site, okay? We're not anticipating that at all. Remember, our site automatically changes its quality, depends on your streaming quality as well, to actually make you stream quicker and live and so on. Right, section 4 then, it's the unhappy sales room. I always like to do that because basically most of you are worried more about the 20% than you are about the 80%, which I think is the complete wrong attitude, and so do all sales trainers in any type of business throughout the world, is concentrate less on the 20%, concentrate more on the 80%, maximize the sale of the 80%, and then I promise you the 20% of people who don't spend or spend low. When I talk about a no spend, I talk about anything below £100 is basically a no sale. It's cost us more than that probably in time and basically getting them through our door and things. So we basically we discount anything to do with that. But when we talk about averages, for those of you who've watched the Business Live with us in the past, you know that when we talk about averages, we always talk about the total amount of sessions in a year divided by the total amount of income in the year, including all the no sales, and we divide it by, and that's where we get our average, and that's where we look at it. So what we're going to concentrate on first thing, so these first 3 sections, we're concentrating on positivity, and let's face it, we all need that at present with what's going on. However, in the sales room, I need you to think beyond this now, and this is what you're going to apply when you basically start to get into your in-person sales, changing things or whatever it is. We'll take any scenarios today at all, and we're with you till 12:30, as I said. Right, so remember, Jay is on the question panel, so get those in as you go anyway. But for me, when we start all of these sales sessions, I have to quantify things. What do I mean by that? I have to, before we start to unravel my onion, so in other words, where are the tiers going to happen within the business or in the viewing room, whatever it be, I have to really understand fully, and you have to understand fully how it all kind of the mechanics work together. Now, the value chain was first kind of brought about in the 50s, I believe, and they were looking more at the touch points for industry and delivery and every point along the way to make sure everything runs smooth. They could actually make sure and fine-tune elements along every kind of avenue, from basically the manufacturing to the ordering to the customer service, every little touch point. And the value chain is used within a lot of businesses now throughout the UK, both small and large. I tend to call it the journey rather than the value chain, because I always look at it as far as where the client is going through us or when they're seeing us, and basically where they exit us. And our experience group know that the journey is something I'm pretty much hot on, in showing how we kind of flow that client all the way through us to maximize our brand, maximize the sale, so they go away remembering us for the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons. Okay, so let's look at the first paragraph. Even though we have built the Mark Cleghorn photography business on the concept of free portrait sessions, there has never been an emphasis on free at any stage of the value chain and our client experience. What does that mean? It basically means even though we've been running promotions for many years, and we were shooting around about 350 sessions as normal through the 80s and 90s, 95-ish. Basically, we had a massive spike in 96 when we basically went to close to 1,000 sessions a year because of the whole business model changed, and that was because we opened up our doors. We had the facility, we had the staffing, so there's no reason why we couldn't be doing it. Before then, we were predominantly a commercial photography business that also had a portrait and wedding business. What it turned out to be that it was the portrait business, in fact, was the one that had the biggest growth because we could get more quantity of people. It spiked because of a guy called Brian Glover Smith. He was the photographer, very, very talented photographer. And he basically was the originator of Venture Photography. He's the franchise in the UK, as well as certain parts of the world as well. And Brian and I got to know each other a little bit through the likes of the Gold Circle. And through the likes of the Gold Circle and Kodak, I was invited to be one of his trainers to his group. So this is before Venture was even in the concept, as it were, I'm sure. But for a little bit of my photographic training with his group, and remember, Brian was an exceptional photographer by his own right, but there's only so many things that you can do, and so you need other people to be doing those things at the same time. So in exchange for a little bit of my photography training with his group, I had a little bit of Brian's time. And there was that light bulb moment the one day when I was going, Brian, but why have I got to give all these sessions away? And he said, look, you've got to treat it like a taster to you. And I know you're an exceptional photographer. You've got a great business model. Your customer service is really good. Your photography is fantastic, blah, blah, blah. But what we're going to do is explode the studio in sessions. And the only way that we can do that is take away one of the barricades. And the barricade would be a £95 session fee, or a £125 session fee, or a £250 session fee at the time. And I went, okay, I've got to listen, this guy knows what he's on about, and I've got to change. So that's what I did. I basically, we spiked, I listened to him, and it was clear as glass to me once we actually saw it in practice how the whole thing changed. However, everything I had in place in my value chain or my client journey was ready for the trigger to be pulled. So in other words, when I did the big bang, if you weren't ready for this explosion of work, the business would have collapsed because it didn't have the infrastructure for it. So we were lucky that we were already staffed up in the business that we were, so we could cope with the growth in as fast as it did. So the main thing to remember, though, that at any stage of that journey, free was basically given a value, and that value was £95. Plus, if we were including a product, we also included it in there. So every stage of that, the client needed to know that this wasn't free, but it was. So in other words, you've got something worth X amount of money from us today in connection with that promotion. Right. Next paragraph. So we've ensured that in every step of the process that clients have been made to feel exceptional and not just another client. That's absolutely key, in fact, because if we're going to get an influx of promotional clients coming through our door, the last thing they need to feel like is a promotional client. They need to feel like they are a normal client going through an exceptional experience, getting exceptional photography, because if they don't, they're not going to be inspired by the photography and they're just not going to spend. Next paragraph. We've endured to ensure that the client is presented with the right member of the team to ensure excellence in customer service, whether in the studio, the viewing room, or at collection. That is absolutely imperative. And again, one of the other venture directors of the future, as it were, David and Marion Campbell in Northern Ireland, basically I learned from Marion, I can't remember if it was in a brief conversation or wherever it was, but Marion had been playing around with the idea of swapping the different sales staff with the different photographers and the different photographers with different types of genre of photography. And I thought, that's flipping genius. And I hadn't thought about it at all. So instantly, we began to actually play around with that same concept in studio, and we saw it change. So they would change the different kind of viewers with me as they would with one of our other photographers. And we actually found who was selling best for that photographer. And that really worked. We also found that somebody was exceptional on the telephone. Somebody was exceptional at collection point. Somebody was exceptional at inquiry level. So when you start to have a team, you basically start to put the right person in front of the client at the right time. Now, I know that some of you are kind of what we refer to as mom and pop businesses. So in other words, you're couples or you're single within the business, self-employed in other words, and you're running the business by yourself. But there is time that you will have to accept that you're going to have to be employing people to do something that you're not very good at. And this is something that we talk about quite a lot within the Xperience group. Okay, we're in really bad times at present because of the economy and the COVID-19 shutting our doors. However, we've got to make sure that if we've trained the right staff, they're going to be available for us as soon as we can reopen our doors again. But we need to make sure that the right person has the same message, that when they're coming back, they're still as enthusiastic as they once were. People just getting ready to go on holiday changed their mentality in dealing with the client because they were distracted about going on holiday. People who are coming back from holiday come back with a real bubble and a bang, as it were, of enthusiasm, talking about their holiday and really keen to get back to work. So in other words, the people who are just coming back from holiday were perfect to replace the people who are just about to go on holiday as far as they interacted with clients. You've got to find your own way for that. We've always been more interested in them and their family than on us and our business. This is essential when building a client relationship. So what that means is basically in the first contact and first year with us, it's all about the client. Yes, they'll want to know a little bit about us. They'll want to know a bit about our staffing and so on with it. But really everything we're doing is interested in them. It's interested in what they are about, what their kids are really into, whether dad plays the harmonica and mum plays golf, whether the kids are just beginning to learn how to serve, or whether the little boy, like my grandson is at present at 3, absolutely passionately in love with Frozen and runs around like one of the princesses all the time. Whatever it is, I need to know about them, because really what I'm looking for is that client for life. Now you're going, wow, Mark, this is about in-person sales. What are we talking about this? Because it's absolutely essential that you understand every part of the mechanic of leading up to the sales room. If we do not get it right, if we do not take the time to fully understand and imply what we need to get the client to spend money with us, and you just think they're going to come and spend the money without even thought, you've got another thing coming. And that's why there are so many portrait photographers throughout the world who earn very little from their portrait photography, is because they don't invest into the client, because they're not treating them with a proper value chain. Okay, the last part then. We have never been shy about our product prices, but refrain from showing everything prior to the actual session. Why? It hasn't changed. In all the years I've been in the world of photography, which is straight out of school, where I went to work for a photographer, and then at a very young 21 age, 22 age, we basically opened up our first studio. Basically, this hasn't changed. In other words, if I give them a price list, they ain't coming back. They're going to go down the road and they're going to speak to another photographer and see how much they charge and go to another photographer and so on. Now they can do that online, they can do it on email and so on. So we need to find a way that we can give them ideas of how much we charge without telling them the whole thing. We shouldn't fear the price list. We don't want to come over as, oh, I'm not telling you, you know, whatever. But we need to find a way to get them invested into us. And that takes a little bit more work and a little bit more preparation. So even things like, if we had to give out a price list, does it need to be the full price list, the working price list, or can it be a promotional price list? Make sure they're getting the right price list, which we'll talk as we're going through.